My name's Becky Pell, and this is a dynamic flow practice with a meditation at the end before our Shavasana. So we've got the full practice. It's quite an empowering flow. We're going to work with some back strengthening, a little bit of core strengthening, and also strengthening our outer hips, our glute medius. You may want a block, and you'll want something to sit on for meditation towards the end. I'm going to start lying down. Have your legs in whatever position feels comfortable for you, whether that's soles of the feet together, knees apart, or feet flat on the mat, knees knocking in, or perhaps just out long in a Shavasana shape. And bring your left hand onto your heart and your right hand onto your belly. Take a deep inhale through your nose. And open your mouth, sigh it out. Take a couple more like that. And let each sigh be a welcoming to yourself, a welcoming to your mat, to your practice time. And for the duration of the practice, leave everything that was going on before outside the room. Anything that's happening afterwards can wait. This is your time to reconnect. Our philosophical focus for this practice is compassion, or karuna, which we find in the Yoga Sutras. We meet it in Sutra 133, where Patanjali speaks about the 4 great attitudes of unconditional friendliness, compassion, joy, and non-judgment. So this practice comes from a place of empowered compassion. That's what we're going to work with cultivating today. Feel your breath slowing down and getting fuller as you lie here, breathing into your chest and your belly. And then your belly and your chest falling back with each exhale. So empowered compassion, what does that mean? Well, empowered compassion is the spiritual warrior's way of starting with ourselves. And that's not always so easy. So, as you lie here, feeling your breath fill your body, I invite you to consider any times when you have been less than compassionate to yourself. Is that a pattern for you? Is it hard for you to be compassionate to yourself? If something doesn't quite go according to plan, do you beat yourself up? What if you shifted your perspective to recognize that whenever something hasn't quite worked out, you were probably doing your best at the time. Irrespective of the outcome, it's unlikely you set out to mess something up. You were doing your best at the time with the resources that you had. Your best then might look different from what your best would be now, but that's because you've grown. You're a different person now. At that time, you were doing your best. And that is all that you or anyone else can ask of yourself. So as we flow through today's practice, simply do your best. Don't get frustrated with yourself if things don't quite happen, if you're wobbly on your balance or something. It doesn't matter. Your attitude is what matters. And please listen to your body. If anything I suggest doesn't feel right, you need to modify, please do so. I am just your guide. Your intuition and your body are the real teachers. Let's take one more full, smooth breath here. And then release your hands, reach your arms up alongside your ears, point your toes and stretch, long body stretch all the way from your fingertips down to your toes. A little wriggle. Oh, just stretching like you wake up in the morning. Feels good. And then walk your feet over to the right and cross your left ankle over your right ankle. Walk your hands over to the right as well. Right hand catches hold of your left wrist as you curl your body over to the side, making a long banana shape. Feeling your breath expand that left side of your ribs. And release that. We're going to walk it over to the other side. Feet walk over to the left, right ankle crosses over left, and your left hand clasps your right wrist. You curl your torso over to the left. And walk your hands and your feet back to the center. Bring your right knee into your chest and into your shin. You draw that knee in and a little bit out to the right, so it's pointing towards your gently guide that right knee across your body, coming into a twist. You can turn your head to look over to your right hand if that feels okay on your neck. And you have the option here to extend your right leg out so the leg is straight in the twist. If you've extended that right leg, bend your knee, and on an inhale, slowly come back through center. Release. And then we'll take it to the other side. Left knee comes into your chest, interlace your hands, draw the knee in and slightly over to the left towards your left armpit. And then left arm out wide and guide that right hand, bringing your left leg across your body. Option to turn your head to look over your left shoulder. An option to extend your left leg out long. How full and slow can you make your breathing? If you've extended the leg, bend that again, and on an inhale, come back to center. Keep your left knee bending towards your chest and bring your right knee in as well, and take your knees wide, pointing towards your armpits. But rather than sending your feet up to the sky, happy baby, keep your knee joints closed, feet. And we're going to press from Bakasana, crow pose, to handstand, but we're actually going to do it on our backs. So reach your hand in between your legs, flex your wrists, so it's just like you're in a crow pose, and then curl your chest up, chin towards chest, and then curl your sacrum off the mat. So you're curling up into a tight little ball. And from there, we're going to take an inhale and extend it all out long, like you're pressing to handstand. You're going to hover your feet and your hands off the mat. Feet and hands stay flexed. Exhale. Draw it back in, crow pose. Up. Tail curls up, chest and chin curl up. Inhale, handstand. Exhale, Bakasana. Couple more breaths. Inhaling to stretch long. Exhale, curl in. We'll meet in crow. And let's hold for 3, 2, and 1. And let it down. Release. And then roll to one side. Make your way over onto your belly. And come into Sphinx pose. So your elbows are slightly forward of your shoulders and your hands are a little wider than your elbows. So it's like your hands are pointing at 5 to 1 on a clock. Take your feet a little wider than hip distance and then press your pubic bone into the mat. Feel how that engages your glutes and lifts your lower belly away from the mat. Now drag your forearms isometrically, so without actually moving them, drag them on the mat towards you so that your heart passes through the gateway of your arms. Just releasing out that little bit of core work on our backs there. Your drishti, your gaze, is straight ahead. And you can stay like this, or if you want to amp it up a little bit, you can press into your hands and lift your elbows away from the mat. If you're doing that, make sure you keep sliding your shoulder blades down your back, smiling your collarbones open. It can help to feel like you're turning your inner elbows forward. And then bend your elbows if you've lifted up. Slowly lower down. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale and press up to all fours. And tuck your toes. And let's press back to downward facing dog. Lift your sit bones high. Keep a bend in your knees to begin with. Turn your inner elbows forward, armpits turning towards your face, smiling your collarbones open, crown of your head reaching towards your thumbs. And then as you feel ready, you can start to extend your heels to the mat a little bit more as you press your thigh bones back. You might like to walk the dog here, just saying hello to your hamstrings. Full, steady breaths. And then we're going to take a little flow cycle here. So from dog, bend your knees more until they're just hovering just above the mat, like a crouching child. Press into your hands to shift weight back into your feet. Feel your thighs start to switch on. And then on an inhale, we're going to propel ourselves forward to plank. Exhale, lift your hips and press back to dog. And we'll do that a few more times. Inhale in dog. Exhale. Hover your knees just above the mat. Press firmly back with your hands. Inhale, plank. Exhale, dog. Inhale in dog. Exhale, crouching child. Inhale, plank. One more. Exhale, dog. Inhale in dog. Exhale, crouching child. Inhale, plank. Hold plank. Press firmly back into your heels. Lift your belly button up so you're not sagging into your back. For 3, 2, keep smiling your collarbones open. And 1. Exhale, press back to dog. Come high onto the balls of your feet and take tiny little tiptoes all the way forwards to your hands until you can't tiptoe anymore. Put your heels down, feet underneath your hips. Little bend in your knees. Drop your head. And then bend your knees a bit more and slide your hands underneath your feet, Padahastasana, to release out your wrists. Have your knees as bent as they need to be for that to happen. Belly and chest staying in contact with your thighs. And then if you've got the space, you can start to straighten your legs a little more. Only as long as you can keep your belly and chest in contact with your thighs there. And let your head be heavy, let it dangle. Elbows fan out to the sides. And release your hands.
stay low in the forward fold, just take your hands onto your hips, onto your outer hips, quite low down. And with your feet parallel, now press again isometrically, so you don't actually move on the mat, but press your heels away from each other. Feel how that makes your outer hip muscles switch on. Feel the space that that creates in your pelvis. And keep your elbows moving back towards each other, shoulders lifting up away from the mat. And we're going to work with some back strengthening now. So knees slightly soft, not bent, but just unlocked. On an inhale, you're going to come up halfway so that your chest is parallel with the floor. Keep pressing your heels out. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up, halfway. Exhale, lower. Now, if that already feels like quite a lot of work, you're going to stay with that option. Otherwise, I'm going to give you more options to add on. So, next option, you're going to take your arms out to a cactus shape, elbows bent at 90 degrees. And then leading with your arms, again, we inhale up halfway. Exhale, lower. Keep pressing those heels out. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Stay with either of those two options, or if you want to take it further, we're going to add levers, reach arms alongside ears, and again, pressing the heels out, inhale up halfway. Exhale, lower. Inhale up, halfway. Reaching strongly into fingertips. Exhale, lower down. Take your hands to the mat. This time, just going to inhale and lift up onto your fingertips. Stretch your chest long. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to plank and lower down either via your knees or body in one long straight line, chaturanga. Elbows hug your waist, coming all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes. Inhale. Peel up, little baby cobra. Hover your hands away from the mat. Feel those back muscles working. On your exhale, lower down. Inhale up to all fours. Exhale, tuck your toes and press back, downward facing dog. Now you may want your block for our next little flow, so make sure that's available to you at the front of your mat. You're going to turn your left heel in slightly and step your right foot forward alongside your right thumb. Now you can bring that block underneath your left hand if you like, and bring your right hand onto your hip. So let's just use the block there to set up some alignment. Draw that right hip back in space and press firmly down into the outer edge of your left foot. Now bring your hand away from the block, both hands onto your hips, chest reaching forwards. Feel like you're trying to rip the mat apart with your feet. You're really pressing firmly down into both feet as you draw that right hip back and down. And then just like we did in Uttanasana, the forward fold, we're going to work with coming up and down halfway. So we're going to exhale, folding forwards over that front leg. The knee is straight but not locked. Chin is tucked. And make sure that your feet are hip distance apart here, so there's some space laterally. It's more like you're on train tracks than a tightrope. Keep your elbows squeezing up towards each other. Inhale, up to halfway. And exhale, lower down. Now I've got the option to add those cactus arms. Inhale up, halfway. Exhale, extending over that front leg. Inhale up, halfway. Leading with the arms. Keep drawing that right hip back, pressing firmly into both feet. Exhale, down. And stay with either of those two options, or we can take that option that we had before of arms alongside ears. Adding the levers. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, lower. Inhale up, halfway. Exhale, lower. Good. Now, block under your left hand if you like it. Bring your right hand to your hip. Inhale, press into that left hand and stretch your chest forward and start to turn from the navel to your right. So you're turning from navel, then ribs, shoulder, and then finally reaching that right arm up to the sky. Parivrtta Trikonasana. Gazing up to your upstretched hand if that's okay on your neck and for your balance. Otherwise you can look straight ahead or down. Keep pressing into both feet. Last breath here. And then release your right hand down. Put a bend into your right knee and wriggle that foot forward a little bit if you need to, so that you can be sure that your knee is behind the ankle. And then interlace your hands behind your back. Stretch your knuckles and your arms out behind you. Lift your chest. And then exhale, fold inside that right leg, humble warrior, reaching your knuckles up to the sky. Notice if that right hip has swung out to the right. Can you hug it back into the midline? Keep drawing the hip back into its socket. Crown of your head reaching long towards your foot. One more breath. And then release your hands. Plant them either side of your foot, and we'll take a flow. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, you've got the choice of a cobra, or if you're ready for it, an upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. And then turn your right heel in so that your foot's just at about 30 degrees. And step your left foot forwards next to your left thumb. Again, you can have that block underneath your right hand. And you start to straighten that front leg. Hand on your hip and draw that hip back. Draw the thigh bone back into its socket. Press firmly into both feet like you're trying to rip the mat apart. Press into the outer edge of that right foot. And then both hands to your hips. Lift up halfway, stretch your chest long, and we'll repeat those lifts on this side. So exhale, folding forwards over that front leg. Elbows lifting, squeezing towards each other. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale. Staying with that option or adding cactus arms. Inhale, leading with the arms. Exhale. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale. Option to stay with those options or to reach your arms forward alongside your ears. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And then right hand onto your block or onto the mat if you're not using it. Left hand to your hip. Draw that hip back. Stretch your chest long. And then start to turn to your left from the navel, ribs, chest, shoulders. And then adding that left arm reaching up to the sky, maybe gazing up or simply straight ahead or down. Press down into that right hand to lift yourself tall. Make sure your weight is even in both feet. Keep drawing that left hip back. Last breath here. And then slowly bring your left hand back to the mat. Put a bend into that left knee. Wriggle the foot forwards a little if you need to make sure the knee is behind the ankle. And then interlace your hands behind your back. Stretch your knuckles out long, reach your arms long, lift your chest. And then exhale, fold inside that left leg. Hug your left hip into the midline, reaching the crown of your head towards your foot. And then slowly release your hands either side of the foot. Pivot to the ball of your back foot. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take a full standing vinyasa as a little rinse cycle. So one more full breath in down dog. And then as you exhale, bend your knees. At the end of the exhale, hollow out your belly, engaging Uddiyana Bandha. And as you begin to inhale, step or pounce forward to your hands. Chest long. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take your arms out wide, come all the way up to stand, reaching your arms up overhead. And we'll fold back into it. Exhale, all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or lightly hop back and lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then drop to your knees. No, not child's pose yet. We're going to come forwards into Sphinx again. So elbows to the mat, belly to the mat. And just like we did before, feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Keep your forearms parallel this time. Elbows just a little bit forward of your shoulders. And find that light press of your pubic bone into the mat. Feel how that engages your glutes and lifts your lower belly away from the mat, engaging those transverse abdominis muscles. From here, on an exhale, you're going to trace your eyes down to a spot between your forearms. Press into your forearms and lift your hips away from the mat. Find your Ujjayi breath now, that light snoring sound at the back of your throat, helping to regulate your energy and give you a focus for your attention. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, pull your chest through your arms. Collarbones lift, shoulders back. We're going to repeat that a few times. You've got the option to stay with the knees on the ground version, or you can lift your knees and your hips off the ground and balance on your forearms and the tops of your feet. So let's try that. I'm going to exhale, look down between your forearms, press down, lift your hips and maybe your knees as well. Breathing strong and smooth. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift your chest, returning to Sphinx. And we'll take one more round of that. Exhale, look down. Press down to lift up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, visit Sphinx for one last breath here. And then exhale, lower down. Slide your hands alongside your body. And then start to peel your chest up, lifting your shoulder heads away from the mat, lifting your head away from the mat. Lift your arms, reach your arms back, little fingers up to the sky and reaching towards each other. And then lift your legs as well. Shalabhasana, locust pose. Strong Ujjayi breath. Exhale, lower. Let's repeat that. Inhale, lift. Couple of breaths here. And exhale, lower. And again, inhale, peel up. Lifting as high as you can. Feeling the whole back chain of your body engage. Squeezing arms towards each other for 3, 2, 1, and exhale, lower. Slide your hands under your chest. Inhale, press up to all fours. And exhale, back to downward facing dog. Let's take 5 breaths in down dog. You've got the option here to drop to child's pose if you wish. back in downward facing dog. And turn your left heel in and step your right foot forwards. Again, making sure that you're hip distance apart laterally. And lunge deeply into that front leg and inhale. We're going to sweep up to warrior one. Draw that right thigh bone back. Press firmly down into the outer edge of your left foot. Feel how that makes your glute engage. Side of your body long, your waist sides long. Shoulders soft, fingers active, gaze straight ahead. I'm going to play with a little balancing transition now. So remember, empowered compassion. Do your best. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. No big deal. It's only yoga. So, we're going to pivot to the ball of the back foot. Put a bend in that back knee. As we inhale, we're going to shift the weight forward into the right foot and propel ourselves forward into Virabhadrasana 3. Now again, you may want your block for the next transition. Keep reaching fingertips forwards, keep hugging the right hip in, left toes pointing down. And then lower your left hand either to the mat or to your block. And reach that right arm up to the sky, Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Press down with that left hand, right arm reaching firmly up. And then we're going to play. So look down. And just like your swimming backstroke, take your right arm behind you, reach your right arm up as you start to transition to an upright position, lifting that left leg up, arms out wide as you turn to your left. Now maybe that left leg is extended, maybe you hold the knee, or maybe you catch the foot. And then we're going to swim between the two. Exhale, forward crawl. Back to Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Turning your chest to the right. On an inhale, swimming up, opening to the left. Exhale, swimming down. Then right hand down, step that left foot back, right foot back to plank, and we flow. Exhale, lower. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths. And then turn your right heel in, left foot steps forwards. You lunge into that left leg as you inhale, sweep up, warrior one. Left hip draws back. Right outer foot pressing down, engaging that glute and glute medius. Side body long, shoulders soft,
Fingers reaching up, gazing straight ahead. Little smile on your face. Empowered compassion, the spiritual warrior's way. And then let's pivot to the ball of the back foot. Little bend in the back knee. On an inhale, propel yourself forward. Warrior 3. Reaching into fingertips, kicking back into your heel. And then right hand lowers to the mat or to your block. Left arm opens up to the sky as you turn from the belly, chest, shoulders. Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Revolved half moon. And then we flow. Exhale, look down. Inhale, backstroke, coming all the way up. Reaching back with that right arm, turning to the right. Exhale, swimming forwards, turning to the left. Once more. Inhale, swimming up. Parivrtta Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Exhale, swim it forwards. One last lift of the chest to the left. And then exhale, left hand down, right hand down. Plant the right foot back and inhale. Step back to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And drop to your knees. Interlace your hands. Tuck your pinky underneath, resting on your forearms. Tuck your toes, lift your knees away from the mat and walk your feet in, dolphin. And then we're simply going to work with shifting weight forward and back. So as you inhale, you're going to move your nose over your fists. Exhale, move it back. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. Exhale back. Notice how that switches on those serratus anterior muscles around your ribs. Inhale, shift forwards. Exhale back. One more. And then pausing in dolphin. Extend your crown of your head towards the mat. Head is free, there's no touch down. Press into your forearms to shift weight back into your feet. Squeezing forearms and elbows towards each other. Good, and then drop to your knees. Stretch your arms out in front of you, seat back to your heels, child's pose. A few breaths here.
And inhale, peel up halfway. Forearms on the mat, hands stay flat this time. Tuck your toes again. And lift your hips back up to dolphin. Keep squeezing your elbows towards each other. We're trying to try a fun little transition to chaturanga. So don't overthink it. All you're going to do is, I'll show you first, you're going to bend your knees and you can give yourself a little bounce, a little propulsion. 1, 2, 3, press into your hands and lift your elbows, chaturanga. Okay, so let's try that together. Forearms down, toes tuck, hips and knees lift, and I look forwards towards my hands. Little bend in my elbows, and then just commit to forward motion. 1, 2, 3, and forwards. Set it down. Let's do that one more time. Setting up on your forearms, tuck your toes. Hips and knees lift, look forward to your hands. Little bend in your knees. Little bounce. 1, 2, 3, shoot it forwards. Chaturanga. And lower it down. And slide your forearms forwards. And let's come back into Sphinx. Again, feet a little bit wider. Take hands wider this time. Elbows a little bit forwards of your shoulders. And lift your heart through. If that's plenty, stay like that. If you want to work a little bit more of a luxurious seal to release out that work, you're going to press into your hands and lift your elbows. Roll your inner elbows forward, so it's like you're turning your armpits towards the front. And then exhale, lower down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, press up to all fours and swing your hips over to one side and stretch your legs out in front of you. I'm going to take a Paschimottanasana to release out the work of your back, so seated forward fold. So we've done quite a lot of work with strengthening these erector spinae and lats, all of that lovely support for our spine. Now let's release out any tension that may have accumulated there. So put a little bend in your knees. Inhale, sit tall like you're trying to lift your rib cage away from your pelvis. And then exhale, extend forwards, laying your belly and chest along your thighs, just like we did when we were standing. And hands can either rest on the mat or you can take hold of the outer edges of your feet as long as you're not hunching forward. We want to think about smiling those collarbones forwards. Tuck your chin slightly so the back of your neck is long. And then if you've got the space, you start to wriggle your heels forward, coming into your expression of Paschimottanasana to release out your back. So going as far as feels appropriate for your body today. And feel the breath in the back of your body. Every inhale, it's like a massage coming from within to gently release out any muscular tension. Contracted the back muscles quite strongly. Now we are releasing them out. Last breath here. Inhale. Lift your chest forward, slide your way back up to an upright position. Keep your left leg where it is and cross your right leg over so that your knees are stacking one on top of the other, and then bring that right heel in towards the outside of your left hip. So we're going to take Gomukhasana or Ardha Gomukhasana to release out the tension that may have built up now in our outer hips from those strong standing poses. So this may be your version. If that feels like plenty, you're going to stay here in Ardha Gomukhasana and we'll fold forward as far as feels right for your body. If you want to work a little bit deeper, you can bring that left heel around to your right hip. And just make sure that you've got space there for that right sit bone to descend down. So don't tuck your left calf so far underneath that your right buttock can't descend. And then you'll find that the further you take your feet forwards, the more that's going to intensify. The closer you have them wrapped in, the milder the pose. From here, again, always sitting tall before we extend forwards, finding space in the spine, and then exhale, folding forwards. Doesn't matter if that's 0.5 millimeter or your chest is flat on your legs. What matters is what feels appropriate in your body right now. And you might find as you settle into the pose that you can wriggle your feet forward a little bit. So play with that edge of where you feel a comfortable amount of sensation. It is quite a strong hip release. The sensation is fine, pain never is, so be mindful of what is an appropriate amount of sensation for you. And if it's not a pose for you, always modify. Take 3 more long, full breaths here. Inhale, slowly come back up to sit. Keep the left leg where it is, whether it's outstretched or tucked around, and just slide that right foot in so that it's to the outside of your leg with the foot planted down on the mat. I'm going to come into Ardha Matsyendrasana twist. So interlace your hands around the front of your right shin and lift your heart. And then as you exhale, start to turn to your right hand behind, and left arm can either hug the knee, you can take the elbow beyond the thigh and reach up through your fingertips. Or one option that I particularly like is to bring my hands together in Anjali Mudra prayer pose and press forward with the rear hand so that that's helping me to deepen into the twist and stabilize my pelvis. Head either in line with your chest or gazing over the rear shoulder if that's okay on your neck to take the spinal twist all the way up. Inhale, look forwards. And exhale, release. Unravel your legs. Give them a little shake. And we'll take it to the other side. So left leg crosses over. Snuggle your heel in towards your outer right hip. And then choice to either keep that right leg extended or to wrap it around. Make sure you've got space for that left buttock to descend. And then remembering that the further forward you take your feet, the more intense the sensation. Sitting tall, inhale. Extend forward, exhale. Slight tuck of your chin so the back of your neck is long, whole spine long. And sneak up on that edge of an appropriate amount of sensation for you in your hips. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Inhale, come up to sit. Right leg stays where it is. Slide your left foot in so you can plant it flat on the mat. Interlace your hands in front of the shin. Lift your heart forwards. And as you exhale, turn to your left, choosing your arm option for your Ardha Matsyendrasana. Your next inhale, look forwards. And exhale, release. Extend your legs out, give them a shake. And let's come into a reclined back bend. If you've got your block there, you can take a supported bridge. If you're going to take the supported bridge, have the block either flat or on the second level. Don't do the third level thing. It's not good on your sacrum. It pushes the sacrum up between the wings of your pelvis. It's not good news. If you want more height, stack more blocks on the flat level. And the medium level is fine. It's broad enough to support your pelvis. So you can lie down onto your back, feet hip distance apart, press into your feet and slide that block underneath your sacrum. And of course, this is your practice. So if there is a deeper back bend that you would like, an Urdhva Dhanurasana or another back bend, then of course, take that option. just releasing out the front body. We've done a little bit of core work, so just giving the musculature of the front body now a chance to release and relax. And in a supported bridge, I quite like to snuggle my shoulder blades further away from my hips and further away from each other, and just feel that nice little bit of traction in my fascia of my back that brings about. And it can even feel nice sometimes to reach your arms up overhead, opening up armpits. And letting your breath slow down. Start to notice those little pauses that happen at the end of each phase of breath. Little pause that happens at the top of the inhale and the end of the exhale. Just honour those. And the end of the exhale particularly, you could choose to hang out for a little bit longer there. No pushing, no forcing, just luxuriating in that little moment of profound stillness until your body wants to take another inhale. Let's take 3 more breaths there. And if you're working with the deeper back bend, start to wind that up. And then bring your arms alongside your body if you've reached them up overhead. Take the block onto the flattest level underneath your sacrum. I'm going to take a gently supported inversion and bring your knees towards your chest. For a moment, little gentle counter pose to the back bend. And then extend your feet up to the sky so that block is providing a sort of wedge underneath the back of your hips, a shelf. And again, of course, if you have a different inversion in your practice that you would like to take now, that's your choice. And in a moment, we're going to sit back up for a meditation before we take Shavasana. And we're going to work with the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. Which means I bow or I honour the jewel in the lotus. And what does that mean? Well, the lotus flower is something that we see often in conjunction with yoga symbology. The reason being that the lotus flower, beautiful flower, grows from muck and slime and muddy goop at the bottom of ponds. And it's a very powerful metaphor for our awakening. So the only ground which we can build the mandala of our awakening, our spiritual evolution on, is the chaos of our own neuroses. It's by turning the gaze inwards to ourselves and examining our own potential tendencies through svadhyaya, self-inquiry. And this is the spiritual warrior's path. But if we meet those tendencies and shortcomings with harshness, criticism, we tend to get nowhere. Honest and objective self-analysis, sure. But unkindness, no. It doesn't work, it never does. So we have to meet ourselves with compassion. And from there, the jewel in the lotus can grow. Let's take one more breath here. Again, if you're in a different inversion, start to wind that up. And then lower your knees towards your chest. If you're in headstand, handstand, take a child's pose as a counter posture. If you're with me, with a block beneath you, and to slide that block out from underneath you so you can roll down onto your back. And then let's meet in a seated position for meditation. So whatever seated position feels most appropriate for you. You can kneel astride a bolster, which is what I'm going to do, or you can sit cross-legged. Make sure if you're sitting cross-legged that you have something underneath the rear of your pelvis, so your pelvis can tilt forwards as mine is here. That allows the natural curve of your spine to be preserved, and so your back is self-supported and comfortable and not distracting you with discomfort as you attempt to still your mind. And when you've found your position, close your eyes down. And begin by acknowledging the base of your posture. The broader base narrowing up to your shoulders and head. So this very stable, mountain-like structure. Notice where your body touches whatever you're sitting on. Feel how your spine grows tall
from the base of your pelvis. Shoulders relaxed, face soft. Teeth slightly parted. Breathing in and out through your nose. Crown of your head reaching tall. Take your awareness to the center of your chest, your heart center. And imagine a warm glow there. You might like to visualize a golden glow. Perhaps even a beautiful lotus flower, perhaps a golden lotus at your heart center. Inviting a sense of compassion there. Sense of befriending yourself and extending a profound kindness towards yourself. Allow the corners of your mouth to curl up into a little smile. The mantra we'll work with, as I said, is Om Mani Padme Hum. I'll guide you through the first few breaths with it and then hand the practice over to you. So let your inhale be full and free. Feeling that lotus, that warmth blossoming in your chest. As you exhale, mentally or out loud, repeat the words Om Mani Padme Hum. Inhale, full and free, heart blossoming. Exhale, Om Mani Padme Hum. Inhale, full and free. Exhale, Om Mani Padme Hum. Continue with that mantra and that breath in your own rhythm. you find your mind wandering, simply acknowledge that with compassion and come back to the mantra. Take 3 more rounds of the mantra and then slowly lower your chin to your chest after the 3rd round. Release from the mantra repetition now. And in your own time, in your own way,
Make your way onto your back for Shavasana. Move slowly, make the transition as much a part of the practice as the practices themselves. Lie back, get comfortable. And let the earth receive you. Like the lotus flower itself. Release all shaping of breath or repetition of mantra, although you may feel that the mantra continues by itself. Let each exhale soften you further down into the embrace of the earth. And take rest.
time in your day allows for a longer Shavasana, please stay here for as long as you can. But if it's time to wrap your practice up, start to take some deeper inhales. Find little movements in your hands and your feet. And reach your arms up overhead, stretch down into your toes and up into your fingers, long body stretch. Open your mouth wide, see if you can make yourself yawn. And then gather your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big, compassionate hug. And then when you feel ready, roll over to one side and bring yourself back up to a seated position. Your eyes closed for just a moment longer. And together, let's circle our arms wide, inhaling. Palms come together, Anjali Mudra overhead. And exhale, drawing them down to your heart center. Bowing your head to the lotus of your heart. Om Mani Padme Hum. May you be happy. May you be well. And may you always be free from suffering. Namaste.